Welcome, everybody. Happy Friday to all of you out there. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. I am your co host, Trey Holiday, and me and my co host are doing it digitally today. Y'all can see I'm at Holiday Studios. Thanks, Omari, for putting that out there. Let me go ahead and bring my co host in. We got a great show lined up for you. Come on in, Oh.
All right. Good morning here from Salisbury Studios here in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. I gotta let everybody know in case we get some trip ups today. We're flying solo, so we're over here directing and pressing buttons and everything ourselves. The rest of the team is on production duties today. I see Nikki Barron's back there doing something, but they're moving around. So if we get butterfingers on these buttons here today, man, don't hold it against us too bad. We're doing the best we can, man. Trey Holiday, it's Friday.
Yes, we made it through the week, my friend.
Oh my god. Man, oh, what a week it's been. It's been an emotional roller coaster for both of us. You know what I'm saying? With not only with the news going on, but we had our series, our discussion about suicide and suicide mental health in the Black community. And I think that took a mental toll on both of us. But the feedback that we've been getting on that, from all kinds of people, from individuals, from suicide prevention organizations, from government. So many people have reached out just to say thank you to both you and I for having this discussion, and in trying to be able to normalize it in our community for people to be able to talk and discuss such a serious issue as suicide and suicide prevention.
Absolutely. And that's what matters most to both of us. I know that's at the center of everything we do here at Converge is, again, centering it on our community. And so I'm glad we were able to do that, and bring some real resources and information to our people.
All right, we got a big thank you here to start the show. Man, I've been trying to get this name right all morning, but we're going to go slowly. Zilberstein's Delicatessen and Bakery. Zilberstein's Delicatessen and Bakery. Want to say a big shout out and thank you to them. Located there at 11752 15th Avenue Northeast in Seattle. Man, they did a fundraiser. The other day, and they donated a portion of the proceeds to Converge Media to help us stay on air. So big thank you to you, and we appreciate you.
Absolutely. You did great with the name too. Zilber.
Yeah,
Yes, great job, And
man.
thank
Well,
you to you guys over there. Thanks for thinking about us over here at Converge. That means a lot.
yeah, and just know I'm back in town next week, so expect me to come over there and get a bunch of deli sandwiches, some sandwiches, and some of everything else for the crew. Jake Grave brought, man, he eat like 4 or 5 sandwiches, so we got to stock up. Another thing is, people have been following the story. So, my stepmom, a bonus mom, this one down here in North Carolina, she had her surgery. She was a stage 2 breast cancer, and she had her surgery on Wednesday, and she finally came home yesterday. And my dad was sitting there at the hospital, was visiting her, and was telling her about the special that you did, and some of the episodes that she missed while she was in the hospital. You won't believe she came home. And all she wanted to do, here's a photo right here, still there on the left, my dad there in the middle, is catch up on the morning update show and also watch your special. So, want to let everybody know that, man, she's back home. And she also says, thank you for all the positive energy, well wishes, and prayers. And, she's on the road to recovery.
That's so amazing. Thank you, Mama Paulette over there, for again being our number one supporters, man. We love you so much and so glad that you're home and that you're in recovery mode and feeling great. We are again going to continue to send you that positive energy. So much blessing.
There it is. All right, let's jump into the headlines. First thing for the national news. So President Biden, he's going to open up the Obamacare exchanges for people to, man, get some insurance coverage.
Amid this pandemic, President Biden taking executive action today to expand health care access, reopening the enrollment period for Obamacare to help struggling Americans. Here's ABC senior White House correspondent Mary Bruce tonight.
President Biden today signing an executive order allowing millions of Americans to sign up for Obamacare in the middle of the pandemic.
To undo the damage Trump has done.
The order opening a special insurance enrollment period from February 15 to May 15. It comes with Biden focused on selling Congress on his massive nearly $2 trillion COVID relief bill, which includes $160 billion for vaccinations and testing, support for small businesses, and $1,400 direct payments to most Americans. Biden wants to pass the bill with Republican support, but GOP lawmakers say the price tag is just too high.
If our Republican colleagues decide to oppose this urgent and necessary legislation, we will have to move forward without them.
The White House today asked whether they would be willing to break the bill into pieces to allow votes on the parts with bipartisan support. Their answer, no. In the Oval Office, we asked the president directly. Do you think getting COVID relief passed will require you to break it up into chunks, Mr. President?
No one requires me to do anything.
Saying it's not required of him. Mary Bruce with us live at the White House tonight. And Mary, President Biden says this is a national emergency, that it can't wait. But as you report here tonight, Republicans and Democrats still seem far apart. So what's the bottom line?
Well, David, the talks continue. I asked the White House today, what's more important, getting this done quickly or getting Republicans on board? And they still insist they can do both, that this is part of the negotiating process. But the big picture here, David, if they make too many concessions to Republicans, they could risk losing support from Democrats. And with that near even split in the Senate, they just don't have a lot of wiggle room here.
All right. Well, Biden's opening up the healthcare exchange, but it's going to be a tough road for this guy there in D.C. Biden is saying that he wants peace and reconciliation and everything else, but clapback culture last night they talked about, man, the Capitol is divided. It's literally a war zone. Like, there's literally a big fence around the Capitol and still guards and some of everything else. But the good news is that people who, out of work and some of everything else, so much of healthcare in our country is tied to your job. There's a lot of people out of work. They're going to open up the exchanges on February 15th.
Absolutely. This is a necessary measure, and whether you're a Republican or Democrat, you cannot deny the fact that Americans are hurting right now. So many things are coming at us from different angles and different, factors and different factions that we do have to think about these long-term measures. And I'm glad that President Biden is taking this very seriously. And I also like the fact that he's like, look, nobody requires me to do anything. I mean, he's not required, like they said, to really listen at this point. Like this needs to happen. And I'm glad that he's taking that approach, honestly.
All right. So bringing it back here to the local front, this is from the Seattle Times. This article right here is from Mike Carter, and we're gonna cite Mike Carter and also Kevin Schofield at SEC Insight. But it says judge orders Seattle to pay nearly $82,000 to Black Lives Matter lawyers for cost of case against police. The city of Seattle must pay $81,997.12 to attorneys for Black Lives Matter. This is the ACL. Well, the ACLU brought the actual suit with Black Lives Matter to cover their fees and costs in pursuing contempt of court violations against the Seattle Police Department for the improper use of pepper spray and blast balls against protesters. The amount arrived by the U.S. District Court Judge Richard Jones was significantly less than the $264,000 in fees and costs being sought by the BLM Seattle and King County after Judge Jones had found that SPD officers had violated the rights of thousands of protesters earlier this summer during the George Floyd protests. So basically, with this, right, the law firm who brought this here, who brought this case, they wanted $264,000 in fees, and the judge kind of knocked that down. And said that some of the fees were exorbitant. So, for example, they had paralegals. They had billed this firm that represented this case. And this is all taxpayer money, by the way. So it isn't like, whatever the fees go, it's, coming out of some private fund. It's taxpayer money. But basically, the paralegals were billing $285 to $295 an hour on this case. The lead attorney was billing $700 some odd per hour on this case. And for example, with the paralegals, it went down. The judge knocked it from $295 per hour down to $145 per hour. Also, in this case here, Judge Jones declined to place coercive sanctions against the city, and basically, besides the money, what the plaintiffs wanted in this case is they wanted SPD officers to provide them with use of force reports and other information within days of every incident in which an officer uses force against a protester. The judge found that those sanctions were inappropriate in this case. And the judge also rejected the city's efforts to have him reconsider its contempt finding. So it's a mixed bag here. But yeah, so, we had made a statement before here that so much of this case relied upon live streamer video. And so, if they did get to 264,000, we were going to send them a list of well-meaning nonprofit organizations that this law firm here can make a donation to, considering, we're live streaming. It's a lot of our footage. There's a lot of Converge Media footage in federal court. It's crazy. We have a lot of footage in federal court and lawsuits and everything else. And so we said, if they got to 264, man, we don't want anything, but they should donate to some well-meaning causes. But it looks like the judge knocked it down from 264,000 to 81,000. And also he's declined to place the coercive sanctions, but he did find the city in contempt. The city was in contempt. There were some things that the judge said that they should not do with less than lethals, and the city did it anyway. So, they were found in contempt, but now this is the details of it. And those lawyer fees were definitely reduced considerably.
Well, I think that there's a lot of us out here hearing this story today and breathing a sigh of relief, because honestly, when we first reported on this, it did feel as though the fees were exorbitant. So I agree with the judge on that. And when you look at, okay, well, what does, a normal case look like? We saw that, hey, in comparison, honestly, this is extravagant. And I think that we want to be able to rule out any kind of opportunist activity happening here with regard to this being such a publicly facing case. So I'm siding with the judge on this one. I'm glad that there's not going to be more taxpayer money out of our hands going toward this case.
Yeah, and you got to think the taxpayers are potentially on the hook for a lot of stuff, because the city council said that they're paying for Shama Sawant's defense and her recall. Then there's also Mayor Durkin, or she has over $250,000 in legal fees for the recall attempt against her. So it's a lot of money, taxpayer dollars, that are going out to pay lawyers and law firms. And at the same time, we talk about that there's not enough money to be able to put into community and everything else. I'm not against, listen, I work for a living, so I'm not against lawyers getting paid and going to court and everything else. And, I'm saying they're working, so they should get paid. They shouldn't, or whatever. But yeah, it's just a lot of money in law fees that are out there right now.
One thing I want to say about this, I know we got to make it quick, but one thing I do want to say as we're talking about these fees is this is also why we talk about the criminal justice system not being accessible to some. If you do not have the kind of fees that a lawyer needs in order to take your case, this is another example of when we talk about the disparities and creating this kind of racial realism that Derek Barrow coins in terms of the caste system. This is another element of that.
I think we got a minute here. I want to throw this out here. What's interesting is, and I'm glad that the people who are impacted by Seattle protests and less than lethals and everything else are able to, because there's a lot of lawsuits out there. This is just one, but they're able to get free lawyers. The lawyers line up. They're taking the case. There's one lawsuit. It's got 60 plaintiffs. You know what I'm saying? We'll see where that goes. Another lawsuit. But, where was these pro bono lawyers when people in the Central District were getting their ass kicked? You know what I'm saying? Where was they showing up at? It's, I guess maybe because it wasn't live streamed, it wasn't whatever. Right. There's not a lot of attention around it or anything else. So you got a lot of lawyers out there that are taking these cases, especially for people who were up on Capitol Hill, who were hit with gas, who were hit with pepper spray and everything else. But, there's been instances of this for years, for decades in our community. And it's very few lawyers that have lined up to be like, man, how can we represent you and give you advocacy? So, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we just got to keep it real, all the way real. In that, it's difficult being in the neighborhood, being black. You try to, man, go down to one of these law firms and see if they'll represent you pro bono and say that, man, you have a case against the police or whatever. Not these top level law firms that are getting paid $700, $800 an hour. They ain't trying to hear you. But, it is what it is.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that, brother, because you're absolutely right. And this is what I talk about when we say, look, here it is, all eyes on this case. So now you want to throw your name in the hat for these cases. And I think there are some lawyers, I think about Smith Law with Sade, and I think about how Sade was like, no, look, we got to do this to free these protesters. There's a different types of ideology and perspectives that really go into why a firm would decide to go pro bono on some of these cases. But I do think that it's great for us to really be keeping it real and talk about some of the opportunistic activities that we see before.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Yeah, I'm going to keep it real. There's so many people in the neighborhood who can't get no high level legal representation in a case that they feel that might have been like police brutality or police misconduct because they ain't got no paper, they ain't got no money, and there ain't a big headline behind it. So I would say this to all the lawyers that are out there that are taking these cases pro bono and everything else around the Seattle protests, keep that same energy. Keep that same energy when community comes to you and says, hey, man, this happened right here. We need a case. We ain't got no money. There is no headline behind it. There is no live stream. There is no this and that. Keep that same energy, because the energy that you lawyers have brought over here around the protest is great. Man, it's welcome. Keep the same energy, though, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, next one here. This is from KUOW.org. Yeah, I mean, the headline says it all. Seattle cops make up the biggest known contingent of cops at January 6th Capitol rally. So basically, like I said, headline says it all right there. That as far as known, they also said known as the known number of people. And also, I want to be clear that this is a situation that's under investigation. So these people these officers were in D.C., off duty. Officers were in D.C. There's absolutely, if they wanted to go and attend the rally that was there at the Ellipse, and the president spoke and everything else, man, people should be able to exercise their First Amendment rights, their freedom of speech. I'm all for that. What we don't know is if they crossed the line yet. OPA hasn't come back. But still, what they're saying is, as far as this reporter KUOW, I think it initiated on NPR, is that Seattle make up the biggest known contingent of cops at January 6th Capitol rally.
Wow. That is saying a real mouthful. Absolutely it is. First of all, I think there's a lot of us that are in this we've been talking about debunking the myths around this. And, you would think, well, maybe it's, cops that are down south that really thought that this was an opportunity to, express their hatred or even racism. But here we are. We're seeing that Seattle is playing a major facet in this. And it is a real eye opener when we talk about even some of these measures and bills that are in Olympia. We had Jesse Johnson on, representative from the 30th district yesterday, talking about some of the reforms that are really taking place at in Olympia at the state level. But ultimately, we have to ask ourselves, even when we have these reforms in place, if the mentality around the officers and their intent and their perspectives are not changed, then are they really going to do these measures? Again, how will we be able to hold them accountable? I think it's really important. But we talk about this in the Black community in Seattle all the time. And this right here is another indicator of that. Oh, to be honest, I am shocked by this, but also not shocked, because so many people in the community have suffered at the hands of the police, as you described, laughing while a cop is beating down your brother, and then they're saying, oh, we don't see anything, and making jokes. I do a show with Jamie Wilson talking about his response, a white man his response, living in the 12th Avenue Arts Building during the CHOP and during this heavy militarized zone, speaking about how cops have just been bullied. He watched them bullying people as they tried to enter and exit his apartment complex. Again, these stories are actually not few and far between. When we start to pull them together, we realize there's a fine and thick, thorough line around how Seattle police really respond to these to racism. We see it coming and we see it playing out. And I understand that maybe this is about supporting Trump or wanting to, disrupt the democratic process. We keep talking about that, but we have to be clear here that we had somebody in the White House who made no mistake about how racist he really was throughout the policies he enacted, the executive orders he signed. And here we have a bunch of Seattle cops, whether they entered the Capitol or not, they were there to really support that president and to support the ideals coming out of that administration. And it is something that we have felt in the Black community for many, many years, though.
Right. And and this is what I was about to say. Said a lot. But what I would say is this: is that we'll wait and see what the investigation comes out with. If officers went there to attend the rally and that peaceful part of the rally, that's well within their rights to be able to do that. But it's just interesting, man. That of all the cities in America, and maybe they're still looking, but Seattle cops make up the biggest known contingent of cops at the rally. It's wild. One of the things. Anyways, it's Friday. It's Friday, man, and you know what I'm saying. We gonna keep it moving on the Friday thing here, but. It's like I said, it's just, man, we just have a ways to go here. And I wanted to bring up this comment, actually. Let me see here. This is back to these lawyers. It says, whiteness matters. Matters. These lawyers are helping people who look like them. And that's the thing is, you know what I'm saying? It would be interesting, to actually see some of these high level, these are top level lawyers, man. Some of these top level lawyers, next time somebody in the neighborhood got a case, for them, like I said, to keep this same energy. And the fact of, like I'm saying, is like that so much of this case was built upon stuff that live streamers was out there. Like, we was getting our ass kicked. We was out there sucking up tear gas, and not just me. You talk about me, you talk about Rebellion Baby, you talk about Malcontent Tango, you talk about Joey Weiser, all these people whose live streams are in these lawsuits and some of everything else, man. And these guys go out there and in federal court, they want $250,000 in law fees. Like, man, let's see you keep that same energy when we got these people who have no resources, no live stream behind them, no big headlines and some of everything else. I call it like I see it. So just because it's the ACLU representing X, Y, and Z and everything else, and let's be clear, my daughter at 17 won the ACLU Youth Advocate Award. My mom won an ACLU award, 20, 30 years ago. So I don't have a particular axe to grind with ACLU or anything like that. But what I am saying is that it's like, man, keep that same energy in Capitol Hill in the Central District. Keep that same energy that you bringing over there in Capitol Hill to the South End. Keep that same energy in Capitol Hill over in Skyway. Because you're like, oh, see, it's Black Lives and everything else on the main stage, I'm letting you lawyers know we see through it. Keep that same energy.
Period. And you know what? There's plenty of cases. If we're going to go, but there's plenty of cases right now. Why isn't that somebody hasn't stepped up to help Black Coffee Northwest as they deal with all of these kind of attacks coming toward them? Again, we have a lot of issues in our community. When we talk about people living throughout King County, it expands past Seattle. Like Omari is talking about, we have concentrations of, Black folks and those from the global majority in Skyway. It's important that we begin to see this energy permeate through those areas. I agree with you 100% on this, and to be honest, I won't be surprised if we don't see the fervor come to those areas. I wouldn't be surprised, because honestly, that's what we've been experiencing. So if we're thinking about the status quo, unfortunately, they have not come into our areas. They have not cared about our cases. They have not cared about our youth, our babies, our children, our elders. They haven't. And that's just the truth.
They haven't. And so, I mean, like I said, man, I just call it like I see it. And so, yeah, they got their 81,000, because believe me, if they would have got that $250,000 ticket, we would have been sitting here. We already got a long list of organizations that law firm there can donate to, because their case was sitting there, man. They got all this live streamer footage and all these federal lawsuits and everything else. None of the live streamers want none of that money. You know what I'm saying? That's not the point of it. But you getting paid, or if you're using the live streamers footage, taking it to federal court and asking for $250,000 in lawyer fees, pay the fee to the community. You know what I'm saying? Put that back in the community. Where's your heart really at? You feel me? Anyways, man, moving on here. This was something interesting. I got to thank Hannah Scott over at Cairo FM sent me this, and there's a study out. Washington courts. New study shows Washington state girls of color placed in detention disproportionately. Girls of color make up nearly half of all girls admitted to juvenile detention in Washington state, despite being only about 35% of juvenile females. Black girls are disproportionately detained in every jurisdiction. The majority of girls in detention were being held on misdemeanors, unlike boys who are likely to be held on felonies. There are some kind of findings of a first-of-a-kind study and analytics of racial disparity among juvenile detention admission rates in Washington state, conducted by the Washington State Center for Court Research and sponsored by Washington State Minority and Justice Commission. The report concludes that girls in detention in Washington state, particularly girls of color, need resources and supportive alternatives to detention, especially in the midst of national conversations about significant juvenile justice reform. Trey Holiday.
First off, I got to stop myself from getting, this is Fired Up Friday. I can't stop myself. This is ridiculous, okay? Let me just say that this is pure ridiculousness. This is what I'm talking about. Do we need more and more statistics, more and more data, more and more research to talk about the disparities that are felt in the Black community, particularly amongst Black youth? Now, we are talking about Black women and young Black women. That's what we're talking about right here. Oh, and I will tell you this. I am getting sick and tired, as Fannie Lou Hamer said, sick and tired of being sick and tired of seeing the disparities in the numbers, the disproportionate ways that the hammer comes down on us as Black people. It is unacceptable. It has been unacceptable since the entire inception of this country. And the fact that we have more and more statistics to pour on our lived experience, on our daily lives. This is people's lives. These are people's daughters. These are people's nieces. These are people's aunties out there. I'm telling you, I am tired of hearing these statistics. And how much more data and research and numbers do we need to see before the America and even Washington state starts taking some real measures towards changing these numbers and changing these statistics? I love the measures that are happening in Olympia right now, but we got so much work to do when we talk about closing these gaps of disparity. And honestly, if I hear enough, it's every statistic, bro. It does not stop. We are disproportionately utilized as when it comes to police deaths. We're disproportionately the ones being incarcerated. We're disproportionately the ones being targeted in youth detention centers. This numbers do not lie. And again, these are people's lived experiences. How much more do Black people have to withstand when it comes down to the hammer being put down on us, the knee being on our necks? How much more, bro? Because honestly, these numbers are showcasing what we deal with all the time, every single goddamn day. And I'll be honest with you, it gets to a point for me when I'm out here in my activism role. I know I come on here to be a community person, but when I'm thinking about the measures that that we have to take on the ground and in the streets. Again, it is people from the community that come with the solutions. It has never been coming from a top-down approach. They've never cared about us enough to give any real measure to changing these statistics. Honestly, they think we're strong enough, that we're brute enough, that our skin color makes us different than them, and that they can continue to do this to us in every facet of life. And to be honest, man, if we do a real comparison of these numbers, just like they did in 1619, we will see in the report of 1619, we will see it time and time again. It's in every daggone sector, man. And honestly, this is the stuff that really boils my blood, because I'll tell you, this is our people, man. This is what we have to endure. And the numbers just don't lie, man. I'm sick and tired of these numbers, oh.
All right, so I'm going to stop right here for a few reasons. Ladies and gentlemen, Triana has just turned it from Feel Good Friday to Fired Up Friday. This is a great opportunity for you to tag and share the stream. If you haven't shared yet, we're gonna stop. We're gonna give everybody about a good 10 seconds here. So to be able to share the stream and share this morning update show with a friend who might not know about it, share it on your page. And also want to tell people that this report that we're talking about right here, I've just put the link into the comments. Let me put it back up here right now. New study shows Washington State girls of color placed in detention disproportionately. The link is in the comments, and we just posted it there, so you can check that out yourselves. And like I said, big shout out to Hannah over at Cairo FM, who actually sent this to me. But I mean, what's crazy is, like, it takes reports to tell us something that we already know. You know what I'm saying? I mean, these reports are good because it's on ink on paper and it's documented, but these are the kind of things that we already know. And it's interesting right here that it says that majority of girls in detention are being held on misdemeanors, unlike boys who are more likely to be held on felonies. And it also concludes that girls of color need resources, supportive alternatives to detention, especially in the midst of this national conversation on significant juvenile justice reform. So,
well, even what we were just talking about, where are those lawyers for these cases? Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, there's plenty of cases for them to hop on. Oh, I mean, there really are. There really are. If they really want to do it.
Ain't no live stream. Ain't no live stream for them to take to federal court. You know what I'm saying? You got, and then you got people who's advocating over there and everything else who was never even in the chop. You know what I'm saying? Who was never down there, man. I mean, it's wild. And like I said, man, we gonna call it like we see it out there. You feel me? Like, one, definitely, for sure. And we can put these things in different buckets. The city was in contempt of the order that was already brought over there, everything else. But, like, man, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Where are these lawyers? Where you guys at? Where the $700 an hour lawyers at, man? We need you in the hood. We need you to keep that same energy. What, you disappearing? Ain't no live stream? What's happening? They need you there. These girls in detention need you. Where you at? Oh, my fault. Ain't no national headline, huh?
Well, no, I'm just saying, and you just called it right there, for misdemeanor charges. This, you know what? We have seen it, man. Our corrective justice system doesn't correct anything. There are needed measures that really are rooted in community when we talk about different measures that don't have anything to do with locking people up, whether it is in a juvenile system or a prison system. We need real reform for folks. They need to be probably going through mental health therapy and getting with a counselor to talk about all of the things that they're suffering as a young person. They need other measures. They don't need to just be locked up because they committed some misdemeanor charge. At the end of the day, they need other pathways, man. And really, those lawyers do need to pour in. And I don't care if there's no live stream. I don't care if this is not front page news. At the end of the day, we need people to start really, like you say, erring on the side of humanity and start doing what's right, not what is profitable, not what is going to get you the spotlight, not what is going to grow your career, but to do what is right ultimately, man. To close some of this, man. It's disgusting to keep on seeing these numbers, though.
Yeah, and man, calling all lawyers. If you're out there, if you're a $700 an hour lawyer and you're representing cases that no one's ever heard of in community, and there's no bright light or stream or headlines about it, but that's the work that you're doing, let me know. You know what I'm saying? We'll be more than happy to bring you on the Morning Update show so we can uplift your work. If you're one of these high-end lawyers out there and you're taking cases and representing things here in community, man, we're more than happy to give you the platform so you can tell our community the work that you're doing. Moving on, Trey Holiday, man, some bad news over here on Yesler. Odessa Brown, citing racial bias. Former patients claim Odessa Brown Children's Clinic ignored their abuse claim decades ago. And so there's this article here. It's by Lewis Camp in the Seattle Times. Lewis Camp, K-A-M-B, and talks about Deshae Harris, one of the few people in this article. And now, some two and a half decades later, Harris, 33, contends that racial bias at the clinic also manifested itself in a far more troubling way by factoring into her doctors and nurses' alleged failures to report her reported disclosures about being raped and otherwise abused at the foster homes where she lived. During one checkup when she was still in grade school, Harris said she complained of inflammation, discharge, and pain down there. A clinic provider informed her she had genital warts and wondered how she got them, she said. And I told them, Harris said, but they just looked at me as if I was some sexually active child and sent me back to my foster parents. So this was two and a half decades ago, and people coming out. This is right there in the Seattle Times. You can read about it. Lewis Camp is a writer.
This is these headlines today. Ooh, man. I mean, I know that it's our job to do the news, but my gosh, man. I mean, this is it literally is going back into what I'm talking about again. When a young Black person says these things, they are far less likely to be believed than a young white person. And we have seen how racial disparity plays out in every sector, really in every sector. There's nothing that is really remiss from this kind of racial injustice and systemic oppression of people. This is why when I talk about campaigns like Equity Now, it's because it needs to be in everything. Ultimately, where was this young person's advocate at Children's? Where were they? How come they did not report this to ensure that that young person was no longer in the midst and in the hands of danger? Clearly, this was something they thought they could write off. And to be honest, man, this is something that it's just unfortunate because, again, too many times we see that there's no real assistance for our young Black folks. And this is another example, man. This is unfortunate.
Yeah, and that article, it talks about a lot and talks about racial disparities there, Odessa Brown, some everything else. Well, we've got a bunch of other fired up stuff, but I'm going to skip over it because we only got 20 minutes left. But I do have one. I'll let you get fired up on Monday. But we got to hit these. I don't know. I have to drop something else. This is important right here. Seattle Seahawks. This was a statement. When we said the Seattle Seahawks released a statement yesterday. Trey Holiday, I hope there's water in your bottle back there, Trey. You guys can't see her. She's fired up. This was that statement we said the Seahawks released. There was weak sauce. The Seahawks are saddened by the details emerging against Chad Wheeler and strongly condemn this act of domestic violence arrest. The statement read. This from their statement. Our thoughts and support are with the victim. Chad is a free agent and no longer with the team. Yo, that's the weakest shit I ever seen. I'll be honest with you. It's Friday. We went from Feel Good Friday to Fired Up Friday. Where's the outrage? Like, we are outraged. Look at this. The Seahawks are saddened. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? The Seahawks has got an owner. They got lawyers. They got this and that, everything else. But, Pete Carroll as the coach is very much the face of the team. And I really don't see this statement matching Pete Carroll's, personality and some of everything else. The Seahawks are saddened by the details emerging against Chad Wheeler and strongly condemn this act of domestic. Where is it like, yo, we're outraged. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? We're outraged by this. I don't know, man. Seahawks missed the opportunity here. I stopped rocking Seahawks gear a long time ago, as you guys see, man. I just be rocking my Meredith here on the daily or Converge gear, man. They really dropped the ball on this.
They
Literally.
not only dropped the ball, but they made it hard for people to want to stand beside them with this statement, period. At the end of the day, I agree with you. Pete Carroll is really like, he's a cool guy, man. And I do not see him just being like this. But this is another reason why the whole metrics around PR, you know what I'm saying? That they have to have a PR campaign to write these statements up instead of allowing the players and the coaches to really speak from the heart. This is where a lot of the stuff around media and your brand, all of that, you're caring so much for it. You're walking on eggshells. You're doing this and that. I promise you, if it was a black player, and I got to go there, because I don't think we would see the same language if it was black. And let's also talk about the fact that he did not just commit some domestic violence against his girlfriend. He tried to kill her. He thought she was dead. And I'm never going to let that rest, because at the end of the day, she was fearing for her life. She got out of there and got to the bathroom, locked herself in the bathroom in order to try to get away from him. He was sitting there eating and talking about, oh, you're still alive, while sipping a smoothie. I mean, come on, man. Ultimately, their statement needed to be full of real wording that indicated their true sentiment. Saddened is just the beginning. You need to be outraged. You need to be like, you know what? We did every measure we could to separate ourselves from this rogue agent.
Yeah.
Putting other language in there that showcases to the public how much you really do care about this. But to be saddened by it really makes it seem like a pacifist statement. And I'm done with this passive-aggressive Seattle.
Well, damn. All right. I mean, it's real though. You know what I'm saying? I think that they really missed an opportunity here. The Seahawks literally fumbled the ball on this one, man. It's like, I think the words clearly, I mean, these guys got legal teams, PR teams. They probably thought about it for a minute. Let's use this word. Let's use that word. It isn't like just some spur of the moment, but this is the wording that they chose to use on that, and man, by something that's really like horrific. So I told the people the other day, this story's not going anywhere, and as it develops, although it's disappearing on a lot of different platforms, though, to be honest with you. So
that PR machine is strong.
It's strong. It's definitely strong. And one last thing here. And we're gonna hop off of this. One last thing. Since you're on your fired up Friday, goodness gracious, Bay Holiday, we're gonna have to keep
don't
you
worry,
in the
it's just coconut water. It's just coconut water.
Mm-hmm. So you say. We're gonna have to keep you in the Converge studio, that home studio, man. You lit. Here we go. Special invitation only COVID-19 vaccination clinics at Seattle area hospitals raise concerns of equity. So, Providence Regional Medical Center in Everett offered on let me stop right here real quick. This is written by, quite a few people. Evan Bush, Mike Riker, and Sidney Brownstone of the Seattle Times. Providence Regional Medical Center in Everett offered on January 25th an invite-only clinic for donors, board members, and fundraising campaigns volunteers, according to an email addressed to donors obtained by the Seattle Times. At the same time, the hospital was not providing vaccine access to the general public. And in a soft touch launch of its vaccine rollout to seniors, Evergreen Health in Kirkland performed a test of its scheduling tool by sharing a link to vaccine appointments with certain foundation board members and volunteers, in addition to people who serve older adults. Special access vaccine appointments drew a rebuke from Governor Jay Inslee Tuesday when he chastised Overlake Medical Center for launching a program directing donors, board members, retirees, and volunteers to reserved appointments.
I mean, come on, Seattle. What is going on?
I was looking for good headlines today too, man. But I mean, man, the
what
news
is
just be
going
the news
on,
sometimes.
man? At the end of the day, this is ridiculous. Thank you, Governor Inslee, for condemning them for this and for making that publicly known. At the end of the day, are we really shocked that they invited their funders and donors and those who get to come to the $150 dinner plate galas Like, no, we're not. But at the end of the day, yeah, you're right, Leon. Clapback Friday, okay? We're not playing
Whoa.
games over here. No, we're not. Omari, I'm done, bro. We do this stuff so, hey, we got to report on the news. But again, these are our lived experiences. We feel these disparities. We feel all of this insincerity. We feel it on a daily basis. While I'm driving down with my black skin, I don't get to take this off. At the end of the day, everywhere I go, I feel this. That's why I seek myself in community, because I got to be surrounded by my elders, by those who love me, by my people that are working with me. Because ultimately, what we have to deal with on the outside world is all of this. We are the ones that are excluded. There was probably very few, if any, Black donors or Black families that are a part of this. And if so, then they've just been included because they have the money to do so. So again, this goes back to how this country was founded and the disparities that lie there. It's unfortunate, man. We're seeing it play out way too much.
Yeah, but the thing is, and it's true, and this is, we claim we're Black network, and we're rooted in that, and we're proud of that and everything else. But like, man, these was old people of all kinds of race, creed, background, or whatever, that like donors, and they're getting their special invitation only vaccine, and we got our elders out there, irregardless, Black, white, Asian, anything, irregardless, it's this treatment here, and it's crazy. It really tells you, it's telling in the fact that it's like, man, access versus non-access. You know what I'm saying? Hey, look, we're going to take a quick break. I know you got a hard stop here, so we're going to take a quick break. We got to get this message out again from Seattle Promise. That deadline is February 1st. We're going to take a quick break. We're gonna play that clip from Dr. Berry again, and then we're going to talk about Cicely Tyson and the passing of Cicely Tyson. We'll be right back. All right, let me jump into this quickly, Trey. I know you got a hard stop at the top of the hour. Seattle Promise programs. Let me tell everybody about it briefly. Seattle Promise program is really dope. Any graduate from any of Seattle's 17 public high schools, man, they're eligible for free college at any of the Seattle Central or Seattle colleges. So that's North Seattle, South Seattle, and Seattle Central. The deadline is February 1st. Like, this is a big deal. And, we got parents who watch our platform. We also got big mama and them, aunts and uncles, who might be guardians and everything else, man. Let's get our kids into school. This is a free program. They already had record numbers this year at 850 students. Let me play this clip right here from Dr. Cicely Berry from Seattle Colleges. Right. And Dr. Berry, maybe you can tell us where. So somebody sees this information, they want to get their information, and what exactly do they need to do? Do they need to go somewhere, go online, to a website, call somebody?
Absolutely. It is very easy. It's simple. And here are the steps. The first thing you do, apply at seattlecolleges.edu/promise. That's seattlecolleges.edu/promises. Don't forget the S on Seattle Colleges. So it's seattlecolleges.edu/promise. And here's the important part. Again, by Monday, February 1st, students must submit 2 applications to meet the deadline. The first application is the Seattle Promise Scholarship application. The second is the Seattle Colleges admissions application. And you can apply to all 3, North Seattle Central and South Seattle, or you can apply to one, whichever you like, but you have to submit those 2. It's again the Seattle Promise Scholarship and the Seattle Colleges Seattle Colleges admissions application. And so apply now. Give yourself more options to consider as you narrow your college choices. And if you have any questions or need assistance, there are specialists assigned to each high school who can help you out. So you can go to the website, you can chat with them online, you can email or even call. Again, that website is seattlecolleges.edu/promise.
All right. So we want to encourage parents, guardians out there. There's a fantastic program. If you have a senior graduating this year, any of Seattle high schools, we need, man, this is the great opportunity. Go to school for free. The deadline is on the 1st. You'll go to seattlecolleges.edu. Let's hop on this program. You feel me?
Absolutely. And you know what? I mean, what a great boost for those who need it. You know, if you come from a family and they're unable to have that college scholarship money for you, they already got the fund for you, and you're like, man, struggling. This is a perfect program to get your AA so that you can boost yourself, and then you can work towards more scholarships and then that HBCU transfer. I love it. So ultimately, they've done a fantastic job of really trying to close one of these gaps when it comes to education. I'm loving that.
Thanks, Lloyd Gregory, for putting the link in. Like I said, it's just me and Trey today. Usually it's Nikki Barron dropping in links and stuff like that. So appreciate you. seattlecolleges.edu/promise. I got time for one more headline here, and then we got a video. But man, let's put some good news here. There's actually from the Seattle media. Deja Brown crowned Miss Black Washington International Ambassador. You can read more about this in the seattlemedium.com. Trey Holiday, tell us all about it.
Yeah, this is exciting, honestly. I mean, what they do there in the program is they allow for folks to participate in the civic process and to also bring education into their community in different sectors with regard to health education, uplifting, encouragement. They do a lot of different things. And I'm so glad to see beautiful Miss Deja Brown up there, 25. Also, not only was she working for Microsoft, but she also has time to do her own business.
Yeah, she's a boss.
On the side. Yeah, so I just love being able to uplift someone in the community that is doing amazing and fantastic things. Congratulations to you, Deja. We are here and we are celebrating you in full force.
Yeah, she has a natural hair products company called Dye by Dye LLC, natural handcrafted hair products, hydrating buttercream. She was out there at the UW. She is doing it. We got it's Feel Good Friday. Well, I guess it was Fired Up Friday. It's Feel Good Friday, and you know it's the passing of Cicely Tyson is, you know, I mean, it's sad news. But, you know, we're playing this clip as Feel Good Friday because she represents a life well lived with class, elegance, dignity, and honor.
Your long, illustrious career, what are you most proud of?
That I'm still here.
You won't know how come I lived so long.
A very good life.
You're going to do something big.
I think it's a shame that I would have to be known as the most foremost black actress of our time. Why? Because I would like to be known as a good actress of our time.
Across 8 decades in show business, the veteran of TV, the stage, and screen earned a reputation for playing strong women, netting her countless honors.
All these awards that come... What's up?
But Cicely also gained recognition for fighting for equality, earning the Presidential Medal of Freedom and a Kennedy Center honor.
It wasn't money that I was interested in. I was interested in making an impact on the people of the world about us as a race of people. I can't.
She literally can't sing.
Oprah, Ava DuVernay, Kerry Washington, so many women of color in Hollywood were mentored by the icon.
How does that feel when you look back over this audience of all these women you inspired?
To have done what I did and make a mark, I did what I was supposed to do. I knew ultimately that if I married anybody, it would be Miles Davis.
She found love with the legendary jazz trumpeter, but when they first started dating in the 60s, Cicely nearly left the business entirely.
I was perfectly willing to give it up then and just be with him. People began to make both of us very conscious of the fact that I had a talent which was being wasted and that I should really get back to work, and he began to feel a little guilty about it too.
After her film career took off in the 70s, they finally said "I do" in 1981.
How does it feel to be married? I'm deliriously happy. I could not be happier, really.
Their marriage would ultimately end in divorce in 1989, 2 years before his death. But Cicely would continue to honor Miles every year.
I go down to a club where Miles used to play every year on my birthday.
Ain't got no husband, ain't got no boyfriend, and you holed up in this bed like the Queen of Sheba.
As for her TV family, Cicely Tyson was honored when Viola Davis asked her to play her mom on How to Get Away with Murder. But she went a little too method her first day on set.
Viola was standing at the door to welcome me. And because in the script, she and her mother had an estranged relationship, I just walked right by her.
The role earned Cicely 5 Emmy nominations. She won 3 Emmys, an honorary Oscar, Peabody, Tony, and in 2020 was inducted into the TV Hall of Fame at age 95. But despite all the recognition,
don't ever give up.
Cicely Tyson was never ready to slow down, especially in her fight for equality.
The day that I think that I have arrived, I'm finished. I am still striving to get where he wants me to go. I'm a fighter. I was born a fighter. I will die a fighter. And I will fight all obstacles and probably die trying. But it's not going to stop me.
A life well lived, Trey Holiday.
Absolutely a life well lived. And I'm over here just enjoy because everything that we are talking about today, she stood so firm for all of it, and she was here for it and did what she was supposed to do in the sector that she was supposed to do it in. To see her as a strong mother in How to Get Away with Murder, to see her in all of the productions that she was a part of, she is the epitome when we talk about grace and dignity. And honestly, I'm only honored to be able to stand on the shoulders of a Dr. Maxine Mims, who is our local hero here. Reminds me so much of a Miss Cicely Tyson and how people globally experience her. That's how we get to experience Dr. Mims. And Dr. Mims is a global name. And when I see Cicely there, I honestly see Dr. Mims in my own life. Kudos to her, everything that she did, everything that she stood for. When you talk about a real one, boom, there is the example and the epitome of a real one. Love her and so honored to be to be alive while she was alive, so we can experience her and all that she brought.
Yeah, no, I mean definitely, and that's why I was saying that even though in her death it was a perfect clip for to wrap up our fired up hybrid feel good. I mean, but that's the thing is sometimes here Converge. I mean, we throw the script out the window. You got to just say what's on our heart and how we feel, and I think that's why why people tune in over here. Because they just really want to know how we feel about different things. And oftentimes me and you feel differently about certain subjects, but the whole idea is that we can both be honest and be grounded in our space of who we are to speak freely about how we feel about things, So it's so a few programming notes here before we get out of here. Tomorrow, 2:00. My dad already said he has the ice cubes ready for me because I'm going to have to cool down watching Besa. 2:00 here, the Rewind with Besa. Will sex work be normalized in 2021? I don't know if I'm ready for it, but I'm going to tune in, invite everybody to tune in. Besa, man, it's one thing. She's really got her ear to the streets and a very honest and sincere and great conversationalist. So tomorrow at 2:00, want people to check out Besa.
Absolutely. I love that Besa is having this discussion. Let's not have it in the shadows anymore. Thanks, Besa, for bringing that panel together.
All right. Bay Holiday, live from Holiday Studios, man. Any last words before we get out of here for the weekend?
Man, make it a great weekend, man. It's been a long week for you and I. I'm embracing the weekend, welcoming it with both arms. All of you out there, make it a great weekend. And thanks again for your support, everyone.
I want to take this opportunity here Want to, again, it's a Friday. Thank all of our viewers. We didn't play the support break, but for everybody who's been supporting Converge, thank you. And if you'd like to support Converge, you can go to where we are Converge/donate. Thanks for all the love, the positive energy. It's been a tough week for all of us here, everything else. But man, we're thankful to you 100%. And I guess I would say, before we get out of here, I would say I want to remind all of our viewers to go forward in the rest of this day in purpose and in humanity. Until tomorrow, until Monday at 11 a.m. Peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth in heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun.